Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steehn with winnersandwhiners.com. TGIF, everybody, coming to you with our college football prediction show. The one and only Scott Reichel is joining me. Scott, how the heck are you?
Doing pretty well. I know I was going to have to show my face again after going 0 for the first time last week. Happens. Went 0-2-1, I guess, if you count Clemson as a push, because that game didn't happen. But,
Right.
yeah, wasn't too fun. I know I had the over in the Florida game, which looked good after a quarter. Florida really just, I thought, was going to do better against Vanderbilt. They tried to run the ball way too much. Trask had a lot of success through the air. They just stopped throwing the ball. It was pretty frustrating. But then you had the coup de grace, which was the Boise game, which not fun. I mean, you're laying 13.5. They're up 23 or so going into the fourth. And after that, the wheels fell off. They get outscored 15-0 in the fourth quarter. Two separate fourth down conversions, a couple defensive penalties to give them automatic first downs. Really just painful stuff. And you
Oh, it was.
one of those games where I was watching it at 3 in the morning, and you
Mm-hmm.
know where it's going. Like, you
Yep.
can see the writing on the wall,
Yep.
but you know you're already in for it, so you got to just sit down and just take the beating. That's exactly what happened.
Yep. That was just brutal. They were against a really, really subpar Hawaii team.
Mhm.
Just no reason.
All garbage time.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But you know what? Them's the breaks.
Yep.
I went 1-1 or 1-1. We were both on the Clemson game. We'll talk about that. We're both in the Clemson game. It gets canceled about 3 hours before game time.
Mhm.
So as always, we'll give you the caveat. We record this show on Friday.
We can't talk about players who might get COVID or games that might get canceled after, because that's out of our control.
Yeah, exactly right. So I had Georgia Southern +4. I also mentioned on the show that I liked them on the money line at +.
I don't know how they lost that game.
I don't either. They were winning that game the whole way. They just dominated this
Forget
Army.
about that. They had a double-digit lead at the half against Army.
I understand.
It's not like Army is a team that's built to come from behind.
Yeah.
That was bad.
It really was. They ended up losing by 1, so they covered the spread. But if you had a straight up play on it at +160, my sympathies, because I had it as well, and they absolutely got jobbed. They should have won that game outright. I had K-State +11. They were never in it. They were just abused from beginning to end. So it was about like our Florida Vandy over, which was actually one of my premium plays. I actually had Florida to cover 31.5, which is kind of the same bet. And yeah, they just toyed around. They jacked around. They just kind of looked like they were running through Jello all day long. Just really.
Vanderbilt actually moved the ball for the first 2 quarters, and I'm thinking, oh, Vanderbilt has 17 points. That's looking pretty decent. Florida should score 50.
Yeah.
No, they did not. But
Yeah.
oh well.
Yeah, very good. All right, my friend. Well, let's take a look at this week and see what we got. See what we got cooked up here, shall we?
Well, I believe it's my turn because it's the loser's walk, I believe, as you like to say.
That's correct. So kick us off, buddy. What you got?
So for this one, I'm going to be starting off with an ACC matchup, but I'm going to be taking NC State minus the 14.5, which is available currently on DraftKings at -109, as they take on Syracuse. Now, I'm sure a lot of people, whether you wanted to or not, ended up watching Syracuse on Friday night because there weren't many other games on TV on Friday night, and they got shut out by Louisville. How do you describe Louisville's defense?
Horrible.
Correct.
Terrible, not
They
good.
scored 0 points. They brought in a new quarterback who was awful, turned the ball over what felt like 45 times. They couldn't do anything. NC State, on the other hand, won a very close game against Liberty. They didn't cover, but they won the game. So anytime you beat an undefeated team in the week prior, your team's looking pretty good. NC State can move the ball. They have very solid quarterbacks, even with Leary out. So they've really done a pretty good job in filling the void there. NC State is a good offense. Their defense has definitely picked it up since the Miami game. And Syracuse is probably the worst team in the ACC. It's either them or Florida State. Probably Syracuse.
Well, don't forget about Georgia Tech.
I didn't forget about Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech beat Florida State, so I got Georgia Tech ahead of Florida State.
Nice.
Well, Georgia Tech beat Louisville, so I have to put Georgia Tech ahead of Syracuse. I think Syracuse is the worst team in the conference, and based on how they played last weekend, I got to go with NC State because I think NC State's actually a pretty good football team. So my first play is going to be NC State minus 14.5 and -109 on DraftKings.
All right, very good. Scott, I'm going to lay some wood this week, and we're going to start off with the smallest number that I'm laying, and this is going to be Vandy at Mizzou. This is a sneaky good Mizzou team. You know, they get lost in the shuffle there in the SEC, But when they're not decimated by COVID, they're actually a pretty good team. Starting to move the ball on offense. The defense is always going to be pretty stout at Mizzou. I think that Vandy team got up for that game last week. I don't think it happens again. They travel to Columbia, and Mizzou takes care of them handily. Give me the Mizzou Tigers minus 14.
Well, while we're sticking on the trend of fading bad teams, I'm going to go to the Big 12. I'm going to be laying it with TCU. Minus 23.5 and minus 112 on FanDuel. Can you guess who they're playing?
They're playing KU, Scott. That's my third pick. Thanks.
Oh, well, you're welcome. Spoiler alert, that is going to be a game that we're both on for the second straight week. I got to go against Kansas. Les Miles, or I don't really know what he's doing over there. I don't know what the team's doing. Their best player still left the program a couple weeks ago. Their quarterback's questionable for this game. He might play. I don't think he's very good anyway. TCU might not be a very good team, but they're good enough to destroy this Kansas team. And this Kansas team is awful on both sides of the ball. If you want to look at recent results, this Kansas team defensively has been a disaster. And Max Duggan, I'd say he's not a great overall quarterback, but for the sake of the Big 12, I think he's decent. I think he's good enough to destroy this Kansas defense. If you look at how Kansas has done, first of all, Kansas, every game was going over except one, and one game was a push. Looking at their last couple of results. Actually, no, throughout the season, the fewest points they've given up in a game, 38. Their order of points allowed, 38, 47, 47, 38, 55, 52, 62. I think TCU can potentially go for 45 to 50 here. Yeah. And their defense, TCU usually Gary Patterson has a defense that's okay, but pretty good in Big 12 standards. Against this Kansas team, this defense will look pretty good. So for me, I think TCU should end up scoring 40-something points. I think they'll hold Kansas to 17. I think they'll win this game by about 28, give or take, so I'll go with TCU.
Yeah, not trying to reinvent the wheel here. I'm completely with you for all the reasons that you laid out. This is just a dreadful KU team, and it starts. It's hard to pick which unit is worse. It really is. You can come up with unbelievable one-of-a-kind stats for either their offense.
You can argue the special teams also because they gave up, 3 touchdowns to Kansas State on special teams?
Yeah, although Chuba Hubbard, did return that ball for a touchdown to beat us against West Virginia there in the closing moments, and he was so impressed with his work that he quit after that. So
you said Chuba Hubbard? You mean Puka Williams?
I mean Puka. I'm sorry, if I got my Chubas and my Pukas. Yeah, Puka Williams. Sorry.
Yeah. They have no weapons at all offensively.
No, zero, none. So, all right. So I'll turn that into my second pick, as I will also go with TCU over just an unimaginably bad KU team.
Where do you think KU ranks in terms of worst D1 teams? They're not UMass bad, but are they the second worst D1 team?
Yeah, there's 127 teams.
I'm thinking on top of my head, you got UL Monroe, who I think might be a little bit worse, but you can really make an argument because UL Monroe can actually score occasionally.
Yeah, they've been competitive at least in a couple of games, surprisingly.
They're also playing in a much easier conference.
So I understand. No, I get that.
I think Florida International as well has been terrible. Kansas definitely is bottom 5. The only question is if they're bottom 2.
I think out of 127 teams, KU is 125th or worse.
Okay, I'll agree with that.
And you know what? If you watched that game last week, Scott, UMass, the defense, they're not great.
They did pretty well against Florida Atlantic.
They play hard, man. Mm. They play hard. They stick you.
And that's why money's poured in on UMass against Liberty today.
It's got to be the biggest line move that we've had in a month.
For college football, non-COVID related stuff, probably.
Yes. As far as the spread goes.
Yeah.
You haven't seen a 7-point swing.
Especially on the underdog. If you're going to see a number like that at 40, it usually goes up to 47.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah. So anyway, since that was your second pick, I guess I'll do my third now. Yeah. That's going to be on a little bit of Maction on Saturday, which I'm still pissed off about that it's no longer during the week. It's going to be on the primetime MAC matchup, which is going to be between Buffalo and Kent State. I like the over. I'm going over 67 at minus 115 on Bet Online. I didn't learn from last week. My total failed me, so I'm going to go back to the well, take another over in the total. Kent State, do I really need to say much? They've scored 60-plus points each of the last 2 games. I know Buffalo defensively is a massive step up in comparison to the recent competition that they've had. Buffalo's defense really hasn't been as good as advertised. That was going into the year. And Buffalo's offense pretty much relies solely on the ground game with Patterson. And Kent State got torched by Akron last week running the ball. This rush defense is terrible. Meanwhile, Kent State goes no huddle, throws the ball around the parking lot, and they can pretty much score as many points as they want just on very, very short drives because they're going no huddle all the time. I think there should be a ton of possessions. I don't see much defense being involved here. I think one of these teams are going to reach 40, potentially both teams. You're giving me 67. I'm going to take it. I'm going to go with the over.
All right, very solid. I don't hate that. That's I think both.
I can't say no to Kent State when they've been putting up 60 points on. I know Buffalo, of course, is a step up, but Kent State, in my opinion, against Buffalo should score at least 35. I don't think Buffalo's defense has been that good.
No, I think they've been a disappointment. I think that's one of the bigger storylines in the MAC this year. Is why the Buffalo defense seems to have taken a step backwards when great things were expected.
And we can both agree Kansas State's defense is not good at all against the run, and that's all Buffalo wants to do.
Kent State.
What did I say?
Kansas State.
Oh, my bad. Kent State. Yeah.
You see the KSU there. I get it.
Sorry. The point is Kent State defensively is awful against the run, and Buffalo just had a running back who went for basically 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. So.
And they haven't. I don't think Kent State has seen any kind of a running back that's as good as either one of the guys that play for Buffalo.
Definitely not.
Either as good as Patterson or Kevin. The other one.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Come on, Marks.
Marks, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I can remember his first name, oddly enough.
All good.
So yeah, I don't hate that play at all. Buffalo Kent State. You say over 68.5 is where you got it.
I see 67 on Bet Online at minus 115.
67. Okay, I'll mark you down for that. All right, very good. All right, sir. I think that's a solid 3-pack right there. Scott, I told you I'm going to go chalky this week, and I'm keeping my word as I'm taking a look at what probably is the best team in the nation as the Iron Bowls, as Alabama takes on Auburn. Alabama 24.5-point favorite. Don't love that number. I'm going to keep an eye on that, see if I can squeak that down before game time. But for our purposes, we're going to call it 24.5 minus 110 at Bet Online. Scott, this is you know about the law of big numbers. You know what that is?
No.
Well,
no, Alabama, is that the law?
Really going to ruin my joke. Yeah, it's you throw a big number at Alabama to cover, they don't care. They'll go ahead and cover the number. They've covered. They covered 18 against A&M, 22 against Tennessee, 28.5 against Mississippi State, 31 against Kentucky. This is an Auburn team that's probably a little better than those teams, but not a ton.
They've played better lately, but they've also had a pretty easy schedule. Agreed.
Pretty good defense, though. They've given up just 44 points in their last 4 games. And what they did to Mississippi State 2 weeks ago, Scott, against the Mississippi State team, supposed to have pretty good defense. Their offense is non-existent, but the defense is supposed to be pretty good. They hung 41 on them, and I think they could have hung more. I think they just got bored. I think roll Tide roll right here, buddy. Give me Alabama minus 24.5 against them Auburn Tigers.
Does it concern you a little bit that Saban's not going to be there?
No.
I'm just throwing it out there. It's worth talking about.
No, I agree.
Unlike the Georgia game, he will actually not be there this time.
Yes. Yeah, he's not going to be there. I think Saban will still be actively coaching that team.
Just from his own, his bedroom?
Yeah.
Whatever.
The Saban lair, wherever that would be. So
to the Bat Cave. Yeah, something like that.
There you go, buddy. So that's a little 3-pack from each of us here. Again, after not agreeing in the first, 7 weeks that we did this, 2 weeks in a row.
I know we had a couple that we were in agreement. So at least we had like 1 or 2 that were early on. Then we had like a wide gap in between, and now we've had agreements on back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, we're laying heavy chalk is back-to-back weeks with last week with a really good team. This week we're more fading a bad team than backing a good team. So just to recap for myself, I've got Mizzou minus 14 against Vandy. TCU minus 23.5 against Kansas, and Alabama minus 24.5 against Auburn. Scott?
Yep. I got NC State minus 14.5 against Syracuse and minus 109 on DraftKings. I got TCU minus 23.5 as well and minus 112 on FanDuel. And I have Buffalo, Kent State over 67 at minus 115 on Bet Online.
All right. Very good. All right. That's going to do it for us. We will we'll be back later tonight to talk about the NFL, baby. As we get excited about that. And Scott, we're also going to do tomorrow morning, we're going to try to sneak in a college basketball show.
I don't know if you want to try to do basketball at night because you have so many games at noon. I don't know how you want to go about doing this.
We'll have to figure it out because yeah, we'll have a
There
few.
will be a video at some point.
Yeah, we'll have a few picks up for the college basketball.
Actually, the truth is, we could probably do it. We can do it any time because we're only doing the key games anyway.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter. There's going to be a key game at night or so we can figure it out.
Okay. All right. Very good. And as always, if you're looking for even more information, deeper dives into these games, that you need to stop by and check out winnersandwhiners.com, the #1 site in the world for predictive sports analysis. You will not find a better site anywhere under the sun. And it is an invaluable resource when these college teams start playing basketball. Helps you with your deep dive stuff for teams you may not be familiar with. Same thing with football. Maybe you're not, maybe you don't follow the MAC like Scott and I do. Maybe you need a little information on Kent State and Buffalo. That's your place to go, winnersandwhiners.com. Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate it. I know our audience is growing, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to give us the like. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. Don't forget to let us know what you're playing. Drop us a line in the comment section. Tell us what games you're on today. What have we missed? You're backing us, you're tailing us, whatever it is, drop it in there, and we'd love to see what you're on. All right, so you guys take care. Have a great day. Hope every one of those tickets in your pocket turns into cash money back at the window. For myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at winnersandwhiners.com. Appreciate you watching. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow on Today in Sports Betting. Take care, everybody.